One of the most concerning pieces of the pandemic is the lopsidedly high pace of fatalities among the old. This permits the infection to spread basically undetected among more youthful, less defenseless pieces of the populace. You may imagine that is something to be thankful for. However, it's definitely not. SARS-CoV-2 can lie undetected and spread far and wide until it arrives at the more seasoned has and unleashes destruction on them. In the event that the side effects were more extreme and noticeable in their beginning times, the infection would have had a far harder time arriving at its more established targets. That doesn't imply that the more youthful individuals are resistant, however, as a significant number of them have kicked the bucket from the infection as well. It's something we don't yet totally fathom, as indicated by our present comprehension of the pandemic. Moderately fit and more youthful people ought not to be building up the more genuine manifestations. It's a major piece of the bigger inquiry of how the infection influences various individuals from multiple points of view, and noting it is vital to forestalling future, conceivably deadlier episodes. In spite of the somewhat not insignificant rundown of things we despite everything don't think about the COVID-19 pandemic, we do realize that it originated from creatures. There's as yet savage discussion around precisely which creature it was, with pangolins, bats and even poultry as potential suspects. However, we're speculating. Specialists will get to the creatures once they're finished with the humans. What's bewildering researchers, however, is the means by which the changed human type of the infection is presently transmitting back to creatures, something nobody had anticipated. Among wild creatures, a tiger at Bronx Zoo is as of late determined to have the COVID-19 strain, alongside a few others beginning to show comparable side effects. While it's not really the main instance of its sort, the entirety of different instances of human-to-creature transmission includes family pets. This is the principal occasion of the SARS-CoV-2 strain tainting wild creatures, and nobody is certain how. Our best estimate is that it originated from one of the tainted zoo laborers with no manifestations. On the off chance that that is the situation, it ought to have given to different creatures as well. No other creature, not, in any case, the other enormous felines, have indicated any manifestations yet, so it's conceivable that it just influences tigers for reasons unknown. The facts demonstrate that the COVID-19 episode has disproportionately influenced the main world, implying that a portion of the world's best human services specialists are as of now working diligently attempting to see how it functions. Worryingly, however, that hasn't implied a lot, as the SARS-CoV-2 strain has demonstrated to be unquestionably more hard to comprehend than we ever imagined. At the core of the issue lies the unavoidable issue about the major natural structure of the infection. While we do realize that it's formed like a spiky ball, with the spikes intended to break into living tissue, precisely how that converts into the ridiculously high pace of its spread stays a riddle. The same number of other generally innocuous infections, including different coronavirus strains, have the capacity to do that as well. We just don't have the foggiest idea what it is about the SARS group of coronaviruses that makes them so fatal to people. Or even, as we'll come to in a piece, how it figured out how to influence people at all. The science of the infection may assist us with bettering comprehend its belongings, however. There's as yet the subject of precisely how the SARS-CoV-2 strain figured out how to taint people by any stretch of the imagination. While we're no aliens to coronaviruses contaminating individuals, they've constantly required some an opportunity to transform and figure out how to taint new has. The last SARS strain, additionally called SARS Great, required some an opportunity to transform in the human body before creating any genuine harm. The present infection, in any case, apparently realized how to taint and murder as it so happens, as it hasn't changed in any extensive path since the beginning of the pandemic. That doesn't imply that it isn't transforming, however. None of the transformations have had the option to pick up predominance over the first one. Put it along these lines. The present SARS-CoV-2 strain doesn't have to change itself to taint more has yet, as it's as of now ready to do that absent a lot of exertion. While we think about a huge number of cases appearing far and wide consistently, specialists are confronted with another unexplained issue. Numerous patients that were recently seen as negative are presently trying positive, raising doubt about the very strategies and apparatuses we're utilizing to recognize it. While the facts confirm that the infection can stay torpid for quite a while before it shows any manifestations, almost every nation is as of now considering before releasing presumed patients. Rules from the now disfavored and defunded WHO necessitate that every single recouped patient should test negative for the infection twice with an interim of in any event 24 hours between the tests. Concerningly, a portion of those recouped patients are currently trying positive for the infection, and we have no clue why. According to certain specialists, the infection may be able to deactivate and reactivate itself inside a human host. However, it could likewise be patients getting retained from different sources subsequent to being released. Or something different totally. We simply don't have the foggiest idea. Those potential outcomes, however, go against the mainstream thought that the recouped patients would build up resistance towards the infection, as it works in most different sicknesses we are aware of, which would thus reinforce the aggregate and susceptibility of the entire populace. In addition, if the infection can simply reactivate itself spontaneously, what does recouped even mean? In the event that you study the different pandemics ever, you'd understand that the mystery of the Chinese infection's prosperity isn't its high pace of spread or even fatalities. We've managed far deadlier illnesses than this one previously. It's no place near the Black Death or the Spanish flu in its demise check or pace of contamination. It is nonetheless unique in one way. Contaminated individuals could approach their lives with mellow or even no manifestations by any means, helping it reach much a bigger number of individuals than any of those illnesses ever could. It makes, as a result, a general public brimming with typhoid Marys. Or maybe more fittingly for our time, coronavirus Karens. What researchers don't have the foggiest idea, however, is what number of these cases are out there. Now, plainly known diseases or mainstream hotspots can't be exclusively liable for the storm of cases pouring in constantly. While there have been numerous cases wherein patients with gentle or no side effects were tried positive for the infection, those are just the ones we had the option to test. Individuals with a runny nose or hack tend to not consider it a serious deal, and as per numerous specialists and researchers, they might be the essential explanation for the marvelously fast spread of the infection. It's no breaking news that the novel coronavirus strain influences everybody in an unexpected way. The quantity of fatalities is root higher for the moderately more established individuals, which is famously clarified by their debilitated insusceptibility. That seems like a natural clarification. However, not on the off chance that you consider that the infection is practically incapable of youngsters, contrasted with grown-up fatalities. The number of fatalities among kids has been, fortunately, nearly negligible. 10. While it's very extraordinary news, it's additionally mystifying, as children nowadays are not really known for their high resistance to infections, or wellness. Truth be told, kids are for the most part at a lopsidedly higher danger of contracting respiratory viral diseases, similar to regular influenza. But then, A lot more individuals expected to have better systems to ward off the infection have kicked the bucket from it than children, and we truly have no clue why. Now, we have a genuinely smart thought about how the novel coronavirus executes its casualties. Regardless of whether a significant number of the conditions paving the way to that point are still covered in the puzzle. What we despite everything don't totally see, however, is the manner by which anybody recuperates from it. Usually, for different maladies, patients recoup by creating antibodies which don't simply assist them with fending off the present sickness, yet in addition secure their body against future assaults by a similar strain. That invulnerability may not be lasting, as on account of the influenza infection, however. The body, despite everything, holds a few indications of having fended off the disease. That's not the situation for a shockingly high number of recouped COVID-19 patients. And specialists are attempting to get why? In one investigation done in China, a large portion of the recouped had created antibodies explicitly implied for the SARS-CoV-2 strain, which is the means by which we'd expect it would work. 30% of the patients, notwithstanding, had no indications of those or some other related antibodies. And it's hazy how their bodies recouped by any stretch of the imagination. Regardless of whether the quantity of cases the world over is developing at a disturbing rate, we can, in any event, follow the greater part of them to potential wellsprings of the infection. Realizing that a medical clinic is a hotspot can assist us with isolating and seclude the territory, contact everybody who may have been in its region during the pandemic, and guarantee that it doesn't contribute towards any more infections. Worryingly, however, we're likewise observing many confusing cases from around the globe with no recognizable course of the disease. For one, a little child in Gujarat, India got contaminated and kicked the bucket in spite of there being no known cases in that whole area. Furthermore, one man in California turned into the principal American to get the infection without coming into contact with any potential host. Most nations around the globe are putting forth a valiant effort to stem the pace of contamination, including severe estimates like lawfully upheld lockdowns and social separating rules. The entirety of that, nonetheless, depends on the presumption that all that we think about the infection is right. As increasingly more research is indicating us, we know practically nothing. And our anticipation systems should reliably advance on the off chance that we get any opportunity of battling this. The greatest riddle of the COVID-19 pandemic is that we essentially have no clue how it spreads. And any individual who says they do is simply hazarding a theory, while it was before accepted that it could just spread by means of physical touch. New research recommends that the infection could stay above water, noticeable all around for any longer than we recently suspected, and doesn't require transporters like hackbeats to spread. In a potentially related case, a whole ensemble was tainted with the infection regardless of staying away from one another consistently. Once more, it's our best estimate that they got it from the air, as we're as yet not satisfactory on all the manners in which it could spread.